Gomes starts in left field with the left-hander Jay Happ on the mound. Jackie Bradley Jr. had Saturday off to regroup a bit. Shane Victorino, the former Gold Glover, is in right. Brock Holt, Xander Bogaerts on the left side. Dustin Pedroia, Mike Napoli on the right side. And the veteran catcher is David Ross handling Felix Doubront.
You know, Buck, this might be the last week that we see Xander Bogaerts at shortstop. They signed Stephen Drew today, and Bogaerts going to shift over and play third base. About 25 games for Drew to get ready.
So Bogaerts is on the move. He has been a highly touted prospect, just 21 years old. But if they can get Stephen Drew in there to stabilize the middle of the infield defensively, that'll be a real bonus. As the first pitch from Doubront, it's in there for a strike, and we are underway. Jose Reyes slowly, surely inching his way up toward 250. And nice play at third base by Brock Holt. He just takes one away from Reyes, and I tell you what, Jose Reyes is hitting in tough luck lately.
He has been hitting the ball hard, but really hasn't had anything to show for it. That's a nice in-between hop that Holt stays right with, and then across the diamond to get the first out. Jose, just keep hitting it hard. They will find the hole sooner or later.
3 weeks into the month of May, he's thinking, I've heard that enough. I need some hits. Melky Cabrera, number 2 hitter, looks at the first pitch strike. Cabrera just 0 for 3 against Felix Doubront. He hasn't faced him as much as his teammates. High cutter upstairs. It's a ball and a strike.
Well, keep an eye on Doubront tonight and that miles per hour. When he overthrows, that's when the ball starts going all over the place. His last couple of starts, he's backed off the miles per hour, and he's had some success.
Sharply hit Bogaerts with a nice backhand and a lazy throw. No reason for that throw at all. He had plenty of time. And that'll be the 5th air charge to Xander Bogaerts. And that's a routine play, and when he flipped it over there, it might have slipped out of his hand, but watch how nonchalant he is making this throw.
Gets on the side like it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and he's just flipping the ball over to first base. Got plenty of time. You want to get on top of the ball right there and gun it over like it's going to be a normal play. John Farrell not real happy with that one, and that's part of the problem that the Red Sox have had this year is their middle of their diamond. They lost their center fielder, they lost their catcher, and they lost their shortstop off the World Series team.
Well, the last thing you want to do is allow a base runner to reach ahead of Jose Bautista, especially in this ballpark. Bautista, just a .214 hitter against Felix Doubront, 3 for 14, but all 3 of those hits have been homers.
We talked about it in the opening. Jose right on top of that plate, especially against the left-handers, almost daring them to throw the ball inside. He even has the ability to hit balls that are away from him, go out there and hook it over the green monster in left field.
Good numbers over his last 7 games. Talked about Bautista's last 6 games in this ballpark, and this has just been one of his favorite stops on the tour around the American League.
All you have to do is, you're not going to have to hit the ball very far. Just get it out in front and get it up in the air.
Changeup, he is out in front. Well, we talk about Bautista's success here, and you can see most home runs by a Blue Jay here in this ballpark. Jose Bautista has 17 home runs and 137 at-bats. Vernon Wells, he has 346 at-bats to hit those 10. Barfield and Carter. When you think about Joe Carter, you always thought he hit a ton of home runs, but Bautista has doubled Carter and Barfield. This is popped up. Brock Holt, the third baseman, makes the catch in foul territory, and Bautista's retired.
He was the only one who was going to catch it because David Ross, the catcher, had no idea where that ball was.
Yeah, this is a tough time of the night for defenders on those high fly balls. The lights haven't taken full effect now. And You look up into the twilight sky and you can lose a baseball very easily.
He was looking over into the dugout of the Red Sox saying, I have no idea where it is. He had no clue.
Edwin Encarnación hits with 2 outs. Melky Cabrera reached on the air by the shortstop. How is it for hitters this time of the night?
Well, you're playing in Fenway Park and you're facing Felix Doubront. I think it's great. I don't care what time of day it is. For right-handed batters, this is a great place to hit.
Let's go, Beer.
That's a fair ball. Holt with another fine play. Takes 2 hits away from the Blue Jays in the first. Who said they had a problem at third? Brock Holt with 2 nice defensive plays. He takes a hit away from Reyes to start the game and robs Edwin Encarnación of a double. Blue Jays leave a runner.
Canada's
takes one inside for a ball. Pedroia has had 114 starts in the leadoff spot. He's one of those guys that can hit just about anywhere you need him. And right now they need him to be a table setter. But when he hits in the leadoff spot, you lose his ability to drive in runs.
He would probably be their best hitter in any spot in this lineup except maybe 4th or 5th. You put him at leadoff, probably their best leadoff hitter. Number 2, number 3, anywhere except maybe 4 or 5.
John Fair believes that the opposing pitchers have done a nice job of managing the lineup for the Red Sox. There's a ground ball to third. Lawrie back at third base makes a routine play on Pedroia. Well, Lawrie is starting at third base. Let's take a look at the rest of the defense. Melky Cabrera is in left field. Kevin Pillar gets the start in center. This is his 3rd start in center field. Bautista's in right. Lawrie and Reyes on the left side. Connelson, Encarnación on the right side. And Eric Kratz catching for the 7th time tonight.
2 days ago, the Blue Jays were leading the American League in fielding percentage. They made 4 errors on Sunday. They are now 4th in the American League. Brett made an error on Sunday. Francisco made a couple of errors, and with the lefter on the mound. Brett Lawrie back at third base in a more familiar surroundings.
Shane Victorino is average at 274. Victorino has just 9 RBIs for the season. Victorino has battled injuries to start the season. He's been in and out of the lineup and doesn't have his normal number of at-bats at this point of the season. Anytime you come into Fenway Park, you figure you're going to have to put up a lot of runs scored, but it's not the case this year. The Red Sox have been outscored 114 to 96 here at home.
The problem for the Red Sox is not getting guys on base. They're getting guys on base. They haven't been able to bring them home.
Changeup, and Victorino pulls it into the seats and bounces back onto the field of play.
They get plenty of guys on base. They're third in the American League in on-base percentage. They take their share of walks still. They still have a lot of extra base hits, but they just have not hit with runners in scoring position this year.
There's a pop down the right side. Bautista coming in. He'll get there and make the catch. Victorino's retired. So that'll bring David Ortiz to the plate. He's got 11 home runs, and we take a look at where he squares those balls up once again out over the plate.
Yeah, that's where you don't want to pitch him. I think up and away would work. Down and away would work for Ortiz. He's the kind of guy who can pull the ball out of the ballpark. And you throw that ball center cut like that, he's going to hurt you.
Now, this is the point we tried to make early, that Ortiz is the only one that's really swinging the bat well. I wouldn't let him hurt me.
I don't care what inning it is or how many people are on base or none at all. Let somebody else beat you.
First pitch strike, and Happ jumps ahead.
Versus left-handers this year, Ortiz has been good down and in.
Mike Napoli is on deck, and he hasn't really been swinging the bat all that well, and Ortiz quickly falls behind. Got a fastball and a changeup. Jay Happ 6 strong innings last time out. Took a shot with that fastball down and away. So you think up and away is better than down and away?
Yeah, looking at his numbers here, you can stay up and away or down and away against Ortiz. Likes to pull the ball.
Happ strikes him out. Good start for Jay Happ. 3 up, 3 down. Strikes out David Ortiz to end the first. The one base runner to reach, and that was on an error, and that's been his pattern. Good first inning, but after that, it's been trouble for the left-hander.
Look at how these numbers jump after the first inning. He's been great first inning, averaged almost a strikeout per inning. But then from the second inning on, the ERA jumps over 5. The opponent's batting average goes up 51 points. And that's where he's given up 5 home runs from the second inning on. So Blue Jays, maybe it's a thing where they start to figure him out. They see him a couple of times.
They mentioned over his last 6 starts against the Jays, they've hit 9 home runs and have homered in all 6 of those games. There's a good changeup, and Lawrie was out in front.
Well, the things that I have read and heard about Doubront is he's not winding up and throwing it as hard as he can on every single pitch like he did when he was younger. Now there's more breaking balls, more change-ups. Fastball isn't a max effort pitch for him all the time, and I'm sure that's the Juan Nieves and John Farrell influence.
Lawrie hits it to third. Brock Holt has handled everything he's been hit tonight. Made a couple of fine plays in the first. Well, you make a great point about Doubront, and he looks different. You can see how balanced he is through his delivery. There's not that max effort, fall away from the mound type of delivery. And looks like he's more focused on making quality pitches.
And his last 2 starts have been very good. He's given up an earned run in each one of those starts, but he's pitched deep into the ball game. He's pitched against Cincinnati and Minnesota. Under control. That's what it looks like to me.
John Navarro is the DH tonight. Navarro, the switch hitter, batting right-handed. There's a changeup, and you can really see the difference in Doubrant's delivery. He's falling through more toward home plate, not falling off to the third base side of the mound.
The problem that he had early part of his career, just walked too many people, threw a lot of pitches. He'd throw 100 pitches that would get him through 5 innings. And now, I don't want to say he's pacing himself, but it looks like he's just trying to pitch and hit spots.
Couple of good pitching minds right there in Farrell and Nieves. And Navarro will take the walk. When you have a few years under your belt, you understand it's more about changing velocity and moving the pitch around, and you utilize all of your weapons.
Yeah, and that's what he uses right there. Fastball, 56% of the time, they're hitting 294 against that fastball. He'll start mixing in the slider, the changeup, and the curveball just a little bit more. It's a good one. The curveball, I think, is his best pitch. Matter's hitting just 220 against it this year.
Steve Thomason gets the start tonight at second base. He has a home run against Doubront. He's 1 for 2. Thomason making his 7th start at second base. Thomason is at 316 in his 19 at-bats against lefties this year, 6 for 19. But he has 4 doubles and a triple. Out in front of that off-speed pitch. I don't remember this many changeups early from Doubront.
Yeah. That was a good one, and it's complimenting his fastball. A changeup hit 81. His fastball has barely touched 90 tonight. He's usually 93 to 95.
Another changeup, back-to-back changeups. So Blue Jays are going to have to do a little surveying and get their heads together and talk about the new Felix Doubront they're dealing with tonight.
Well, he's in the strike zone. That's the main thing, that he's throwing quality pitches and keeping the ball down.
Three call. Like that was the fastball on the inside corner. First strikeout. Well, the Blue Jays have added another pitcher to their bullpen. Marcus Stroman went down after the game Sunday, and Rob Rasmusson, the young left-hander, is in his first big league ballpark. And he's not really familiar with the surroundings, but you can see the rookies, they carry all the goodies down to the bullpen. And then nobody told him about the roof. Oops.
Low bridge here.
Hey, thanks for the warning, guys.
All those big guys like McGowan and Delabar, they didn't have a problem with that.
And he bangs his head on that bullpen roof, but he's got to be thrilled. His first taste of big league baseball. He just joined the ball club this afternoon. Called up to take the spot in the bullpen. Marcus Stroman went back down to Buffalo, and he started today for the Bisons. Eric Kratz with a 1-0 count. Like he got something in his eye.
Make sure you're 100% before you step in there. Trying to blink and squint just a little bit so he can see the ball.
Kratz has terrific power. He's a big, strong guy. He's hit 2 home runs so far in limited at bats, but boy, oh boy, did he put on a show during batting practice. He's working hard with Kevin Seitzer, trying to implement that stay in the middle of the field approach. Kratz has just 34 at bats. He has been up and down a couple of times from AAA. Seitzer had the troops out early for a little extra BP here at Fenway Park. Yesterday was an off day, so some of the guys came out and hit early. Bounced in the dirt. Ross keeps it close to home as Navarro has to stay put. David Ross and A.J. Pierzynski, the 2 catchers for Boston, and they're both very experienced.
Lefties on the mound. Ross will get the call behind the plate. And when there is a righty, we'll see a righty tomorrow. Drew Hutchison is tomorrow. We'll see A.J. Lots of experience.
And Kratz takes ball 4. Toronto Blue Jays have an explosive offense, and John Gibbons' ball club has been able to jump out on top early in the ball games. When you think about the Blue Jays scoring, well, they've scored first 27 times this season, more than the Angels, more than the Rays, the Indians, and the Twins, and that really gives your pitching staff a little bit of wiggle room. You get that early lead, and they can relax and work with that early lead.
I think that speaks to the power, the firepower at the top of the lineup for the Blue Jays. Reyes, Cabrera, Bautista, Encarnación, the list goes on and on. You know, that's the good news, that they have scored first 27 times. The bad news about all of that is they've also lost 13 games this season in which they've held a lead.
Bullpen has had a rough start to their season. Kevin Pillar has 3 career home runs, and one of them came against Felix Doubront.
I was talking to him today, and he says he's feeling a lot more comfortable this year, having some information against these pitchers that are trying to get him. Doubront being one of them. John Lester, he'll probably play on Thursday. 2 more left-handers when they get home and play the Oakland Athletics. And he says, I know these guys. I faced them last year. That was such a great teaching tool for him last year, facing these guys.
I don't know that many people that really look forward to facing John Lester, but Pillar feels good about it. He goes after that pitch in the dirt and strikes out. Ross picks up the ball and tags him. So the Blue Jays will leave a pair, a couple of strikeouts in the inning. We'll go to the bottom of the second. It's scoreless.
Phillies on Sportsnet. Brought to you by the 2014 Honda CR-V. Honda, proud to be the official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays. And by Home Hardware, homeowners helping homeowners with expert advice.
Beautiful Lansdowne Street beyond the left field green monster. They've built those monster seats over the street out in left field. Mike Napoli, the first baseman, batting cleanup tonight. Jay Happ starting off throwing a lot of strikes. .260 for Napoli. He's hit 5 home runs, but he hasn't homered in his last 92 plate appearances. He hasn't homered since April 22nd.
It's been a brutal month of May for him right now. He's 9 for 51 in the month of May for Mike Napoli. He's getting in between right now.
Okay, explain in between.
Well, he might be looking for a fastball and they throw him a breaking ball and he still swings, or he's looking for something else and they throw something else, and he's just not sure of himself. The best thing to do is just see the ball and just take your normal swing. When you watch him hit, he doesn't look like the power hitter that we saw last year.
He took a confident swing, that's for sure. And in between is a great description. You think, okay, he's going to throw me a fastball. Nope, there's a breaking ball, and I swing anyway.
Yeah, and you're like not sure of yourself. You just don't have a feel for what you want to do.
Johnny Gomes is on deck. He's the right-handed hitting platoon left fielder. He and Grady Sizemore have been splitting up the time in left. Napoli reaches for the outside pitch and rifles it into right field. Leadoff single. So Jay Happ gives up his first base runner of the night. Let's check out how he utilizes all of his weapons.
Well, he'll throw the fastball. He can cut it and sink it. Use the slider, the changeup, and the curveball. And that's the important thing, that two-seam fastball. If he's got that working for him tonight, then he can move the fastball in, the four-seam fastball on the inner half against the right-handers. Changeup and curveball. And what we have seen over the last couple of starts from Happ, he had a good fastball last time. He hit 93, 94 miles an hour in his last start against Cleveland. And tonight it looks like his fastball is surprising some of these hitters on the Red Sox team.
Yeah, it's always not about the velocity and about what that magic number is on the radar gun. It's about the late movement and whether or not hitters are picking up on that. Johnny Gomes for the season, a .233 hitter. Gomes has hit 10 home runs against the Blue Jays in his career. Those 10 home runs coming in just 227 at bats. He's also a candidate for a double play. Hits the ball sharply on the ground. That one gets away from Kratz. Boy, there's that movement we're talking about. And Eric Kratz has had a couple of balls that kind of sailed on him.
When Jay stays within himself and just lets the natural movement work, his ball is really good. When he humps up and tries to overthrow the ball, that's when you start seeing balls way out of the strike zone. That's where you really have to tell yourself to slow it down just a little bit.
Had a good pitch with that fastball. 2 balls and 2 strikes to the Red Sox left fielder. The Red Sox won 2 of 3 against the Jays at Rogers Center, middle of April. Peavy beat Burley 8-1. Buchholz beat Morrow 7-6, and Dickey beat Lester 7-1. Salvage that game. Strike 3 call. Johnny Gomes didn't like the call. Looked like the fastball caught the inside corner.
And you see how it surprised him with that late life? He's got a quick arm, does Jay Happ. The ball is getting on him. Surprising some of these Red Sox hitters.
Kratz did a nice job with Jay Happ the last time these two worked together. That was in the Cleveland start. And Eric said he had to figure out whether or not that two-seamer was effective, and then they could work to both sides of the plate. Xander Bogaerts, the 21-year-old shortstop, steps in. Bogaerts has had an inconsistent start. He had a home run on Saturday against Detroit, his second home run of the season, and his first career home run here at Fenway Park.
That's what you're going to get with young players, that inconsistency, offensively and defensively. He has had multi-hit games his last 2 games, so the bat is starting to come around. John Farrell says he's starting to square the ball up, meaning his timing is getting a little bit better, and those numbers right there reflect it.
It's so difficult for young players to handle the ups and downs of the major leagues. You go for 10 and you read about it in every newspaper, see it on every television sports highlight show, and you think, well, I got to get 6 hits tomorrow. Another good pitch inside, and Bogart is caught looking. Back-to-back strikeouts after the leadoff single.
Good fastball. I mean, he really drove that ball towards home plate. It's high enough. Bogaerts thinks it's inside, but it looked like it clipped the corner. Good pitch right there by Jay.
Third baseman Brock Holt now will bat with 2 outs. Napoli still at first. Holt is 25 years old. He comes out of Texas. He's been back and forth a couple of times this year because, well, Middlebrooks now has a broken index finger and hit by a pitch. Jay Happ starting to feel it.
You know what? Red Sox are known to take a lot of pitches and work the count. So I think to combat that, throw him fastballs. And that's what he's doing right now. A couple of fastballs right there, and he's in the driver's seat.
And then you get swings like that. When you pitch ahead, the hitters have to expand. Jay Happ strikes out the side in the second. Very own reserve seat at Rogers Center. Great seats are still available. Call the Blue Jays at 416-341-1234 or log online at bluejays.com to order your season tickets for the 2014 season. Lots of great teams coming to Rogers Center this next homestand. Oakland, Tampa Bay, and Kansas City will be at Rogers Center in the next homestand. And then the St. Louis Cardinals will come in after Blue Jays go down to Detroit for a quick 3-game series. Sal Butera is coaching first base tonight. Luis Rivera, the regular third base coach, is away for the graduation of his son from high school. So Tim Leeper coaches third. Sal Butera is coaching at first.
And I was all over Tim today. Leaps, I said, okay, don't make any mistakes over there at third base. You don't do anything at first base. Now you're the man tonight.
Reyes goes after the pitch and lifts it down the right side. Victorino with a long run. He'll get there and makes the grab in foul territory. One down. Let's check in with Jamie Campbell. It's not a surprise that Oakland is atop the AL West. They've won the division in the last 2 years. What is a surprise is their run differential. They have outscored their opponents by 95 runs this year going into this game tonight.
Everybody talks about their pitching and how well they pitch. They don't talk about the offense, which is outstanding. This is their best start through 44 games since 1990, the Oakland A's.
Since Dennis Eckersley was closing for him. Melky Cabrera, he reached on the air by the shortstop his first time up. There's a liner down the left field line. Johnny Gomes gets over quickly and it bounces away from him. Melky Cabrera headed for second. He's in there with a good slide. He used that straight leg slide to go in hard on the back. Johnny Gomes played it well and has a strong arm. Threw it right on the money, but Cabrera legged it out.
Melky is showing a little bit more patience here tonight. Rips this ball down the line. Gomes gets a little bit too close for it, but runs it down, barehands it, and throws a strike to second. And in this ballpark, when you hit a ball to left field, you've got to come out of that batter's box sprinting, because you got a chance for a two. If you don't come out of the batter's box sprinting, you're only going to have a single.
Jose Bautista. It's a fly ball into center. Jackie Bradley Jr. is there. Bautista flies out to center. 2 down.
Blue Jays on Sportsnet. Brought to you by the 2014 Honda CR-V. Honda, proud to be the official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Beautiful neighborhood around Fenway Park, and it has really become a destination. Another packed house here tonight. 2 outs for Edwin Encarnación. Remember, the Blue Jays have taken the lead 27 times this season. They've scored first in the ballgame. That's the most in the majors. A lot of off-speed pitches tonight. The Blue Jays are going to have to switch gears.
Look for the off-speed and then react to the fastball. Doubront in the past was everything was firm. Everything was the same speed. Everything was max effort.
Isn't it interesting how it takes pitchers a while to really trust that approach? Feel like you have to be perfect and you have to throw everything 100% to get big league hitters out.
You and I had the privilege of talking to Roy Halladay opening day back in Toronto. He said it takes 3-4 years for pitchers to learn how to pitch after they get to the big leagues.
Yeah, after they get to the big leagues, because it's the first time you really get tested against big league hitters. You go back and look at Roy Halladay's career as it started and unfolded, and same for Chris Carpenter. They walked almost as many as they struck out in the first 5-6 years of their career.
The good ones are able to then take all that information and then take the next step. You know, unless you're just crazy good, you know, like a Matt Harvey or Jose Fernandez or Steven Strasburg. Those guys are on a different planet when it comes to pitching. But for the most part, good major leaguers takes them 3 or 4 years to figure it out.
There's a high, deep drive to left. If it's fair, the Blue Jays take the lead, and it is a home run. Edwin Encarnación, a 2-run home run, and once again, the Blue Jays score first.
Maybe the Blue Jays are taking notice of what Doubront was doing right there. Changeup with 2 strikes to Encarnación, his 10th home run of the season. And he waited back on that one. It was almost like a double clutch for Edwin. Stayed back on that back leg, recognized that changeup, and hit it deep to left field. Right now, he is hoping that thing stays fair.
Giving it the old Carlton Fish body English. But Lawrie pops it up on the infield. Pedroia gives way to the shortstop, Xander Bogaerts, and Lawrie is retired, but the Blue Jays break on top. Another long home run for the Jays, 2-0 on Encarnación's 10th. Rushes a 2-run home run, and we always talk about how far home runs go over the Green Monster. Watch this. Now see the ball. That's the ball in the sky just above the Citgo sign. Now watch it and watch where it hits. It hits on that white billboard where the arrow was pointing to it, basically on that white billboard, and then bounces into the parking lot. That's as big a home run as you'll see.
And that sign is across the street from Fenway Park. Look at that. You can see the ball fall down on the Lansdowne Street. Yeah, he's got some power.
Never in doubt. Just whether it was going to be fair or foul. And that was so far over the foul pole. It was a tough call. Foul ball. David Ross, the catcher. Brett Lawrie couldn't wait on the umpire. He had to unload in a hurry.
And he did his best. I'm a receiver in the NFL, keeping my feet in bounds play on that ball. But it's not where your feet are, it's where the ball crosses the bag.
Kerwin Danley is the third base umpire, and he called it foul as soon as it touched Laurie's glove.
He tried selling it like it was a fair ball.
So Jay Happ has a 2-run lead. He throws another fastball. Boy, I love this approach. Happ has made quality pitches with his fastball, and he hasn't deviated from that approach.
Nope, just keep using it. Cut it in there if you have to, sink it if you have to, but use the heater. Here's another one. See ya.
That's 4 straight strikeouts for Happ. That's 5 on the night. And that's 5 of the first 8 batters he's faced.
Now Ross is surprised once again. I told you it looked like some of these Red Sox hitters were taken back by the fastball, that they were surprised how quick and how much action he has on it. Late life.
Well, you mentioned it early. Boston has always been a very patient and selective team. They are second in the American League with the lowest percentage of swings on the first pitch, so why not throw him a strike?
Why not get ahead? You and I talk about it all the time, that the best pitch in baseball is first pitch strike.
Strike one. Minnesota swings at just 19.1% of the first pitches. Boston is second, 21.6. And then the Blue Jays, surprisingly, they're third in the American League, swinging at the fewest first pitches. Jackie Bradley Jr., we mentioned he had Saturday off, and by his own admission, he felt lost at the plate. So fly ball to left. Melky Cabrera down in that treacherous corner. And the ball went into the seats.
Can't give up on any ball down in that left field corner. There's not a lot of room, as you can see right there, but the wind blows over that corner and will blow that ball back to you.
There you see how close the stands come to the foul line, and you get down into that corner. And then the roof becomes a factor. Into the corner, there's concrete under that padding, so that ball can hit that concrete, and you don't know where it's going to end up.
And you can't give up on that ball. You can see him going over there. He only has a couple of feet to deal with.
He got underneath that overhanging door to protect himself so that ball bounced out of the seats. 2-2. Down and away. It's a full count. Former Red Sox left fielder Jason Bay said that corner is the toughest corner in baseball to play. He said the last 45 feet into that corner, you just never know what's going to happen. You got that overhead door there, and the ball can bounce into that doorway, tear them all over the place. Jackie Bradley Jr. strikes out. How about that? 6 strikeouts through the first 9 batters faced tonight for Jay Happ.
That's 5 in a row. 3 of them taking, and 2 of them like this, swinging right through it. Now, first time through, the Boston Red Sox now get a little bit more aggressive early in the count.
Back to the top of the order. Dustin Pedroia takes strike 1, and why not? Don't change. There's a fly ball into left. Melky Cabrera says, I got it. Pedroia's retired. 3 up, 3 down in the third. We'll go to the fourth. The Blue Jays in Boston lead the Red Sox 2-0. League Baseball. Listen to live audio, follow games pitch by pitch, and enjoy in-game video highlights. The app is available on the iPhone, iPad, iPod Touch, Android, and BlackBerry. Season-long subscription packages are available. Visit BlueJays.com for more details. Big crowd on hand tonight, and while we have a moment, I'd like to wish a happy 95th birthday to Noreen Carson, who celebrated that birthday on Saturday. Noreen had 90 of her family and friends over for a little party, and they celebrated a great life, 95 years old. Happy birthday, Noreen, and we appreciate you watching. She's a huge Blue Jay fan and watches every night. 2-0 Jays. It'll be the DH Gianna Navarro starting things off. The one thing the Red Sox haven't done, we mentioned, haven't scored. So when pitchers fall behind, you really feel like you've created a big hole for yourself. Sometimes then you try to be too perfect.
He doesn't have to be. Just keep doing what you're doing. He's confounding the Blue Jays a little bit with these off-speed pitches. But if you fall behind, everybody knows what you're going to be throwing.
2-0. Navarro's late on that pitch. Kevin Seitzer, you can bet he's made some adjustments after watching the pitcher work. He'll talk to his hitters in between at bats and say, okay, this is what he's doing tonight. This is different than what we saw on the scouting report. Popped up back behind home plate. David Ross will watch it hit the screen.
Well, Kevin is constantly taking notes and reminding himself of what he sees, talks to his hitters and asks them what they see, and creates this book of information on all the pitchers that the Blue Jays are facing.
Two balls and two strikes. The Encarnación home run was the 7th straight game that Doubront has allowed a home run to the Blue Jays. In his last 7 starts, including this one tonight, the Jays have hit a home run. 10 home runs in those 7 games. Steve Tollefson is on deck.
Boys, lights.
Navarro walks for a second time tonight. Well, the Blue Jays, they've got some pop, and when you look at the AL East home run leaders, the Blue Jays are way out in front. Look at that. They've got 16 more home runs than the Yankees. And the Red Sox are always near the top, but this year it's a different story. Orioles, Rays, and Red Sox all struggling to hit the long ball, and the Blue Jays are way out in front.
Well, they're in one of those streaks right now where they've hit a lot of home runs. They have homered in now 22 of their last 27 games and multiple home runs. Get guys on base.
Hot shot to short. Bogarts to Pedroia. Back to first. Double play. Allison hit it hard, but right to the shortstop. So that erases the leadoff walk.
Tailor-made right here. One hopper right to Bogarts right. Takes his time, and Pedroia, who came up as a shortstop, has got a shortstop's arm at second base. Fires it over there to finish the double play.
The catcher Eric Kratz will bat with 2 outs and nobody on. Kratz walked in his first at bat. Doubront has now issued 3 walks. There's a deep drive to center field. Jackie Bradley looking up. This ball is way back and gone. Eric Kratz with his 3rd home run of the season. A deep drive into the seats in center.
Well, you said it, Buck. You said he's got outstanding power, and when he connects, I don't think there's a ballpark that's going to hold him. He took David Price deep to center field in the first series of the season, and now gets a chance against a left-hander. And it looked like Doubront humped up and tried to throw a fastball, and Kratz was waiting for it. Go down and get it. He knows that is a long way where he hit that ball.
Kevin Pillar struck out his first time up. Kratz has terrific power. He's 33 years old, and he and Kevin Seitzer have really started to click. And Seitzer has given him the ability to put backspin on the baseball, and when you get that backspin, you get a lot of carry. Brock Holt wide of third. High throw. Leftley stays on the back. The inning is over. But for a second consecutive inning, the Blue Jays have gone deep. Eric Kratz deep to center with 2 outs. His 3rd home run of the season. The Blue Jays are up 3-0. You get unlimited access to over 100 of the world's best magazines on your tablet. Baseball fans, sign up at nextissue.ca/baseball and get an extended 60-day free trial. It is a jam-packed Fenway Park again tonight. First of 3. Tuesday night, Wednesday night, and Thursday afternoon, the Blue Jays and Red Sox will play a game that starts at 4:05 local time here on Thursday afternoon. Blue Jays lead at 3-1. Shane Victorino flew out to right his first time up. There's that sinking fastball. It's got a lot of movement on it. Two balls and a strike to the Red Sox right fielder. Boy, if J. Happ could stay in the groove as he is early in this ball game, what a bonus that would be. It's coming off a 6-inning, 1-run effort against Cleveland his last time. Picked up his 2nd win of the season.
Game you just mentioned, that Cleveland game, it just looked like confidence was coming out of Jay. It just, here's my fastball, I'm going to keep it low, down and away, up and in, let's see what you can do with it. And he's done it here again tonight.
There's a fly ball to center. Flora gets back, makes an easy play, but 1 down. The Big Papi will come to the plate now. He's a dangerous hitter, and here is where they try to pitch him Seems as though away is better than in. That's where the concentration of pitches are.
Yeah, especially from a left-handed pitcher. Down and away seems to be a good place. That's where they want to keep the ball. For David Ortiz, he's got 11 home runs this year. Every one of them have been pulled to right field. He hasn't hit a home run to left. He hasn't hit a home run to center field. So you got to pitch him down and away and make him pull that ball into the shift.
One out. He's that breaking ball and missed with the first pitch. Ortiz struck out his first time up. All of a sudden, looks like Ortiz is looking for the fastball. You see how quickly he opened up on that last pitch.
That's what will happen to hitters when they start looking for that fastball. They'll anticipate it. They'll start leaking that front shoulder. And it just looks like Jay's overthrown right there. Afraid of the power of Ortiz, and he just overthrew every one of those baseballs.
He lost that good command we had seen early in this ball game. That's the first walk issued by. That's one thing Jay has to avoid, and it's been a problem for him in the past, is the base on balls. If he can eliminate those base on balls, first and foremost, it'll economize on the pitches he throws. It'll allow him to pitch deeper into the game. Mike Napoli single to right. Timely trip to the mound by Eric Kratz. After the walk to Ortiz, he falls behind Napoli, and Kratz goes right to the mound.
Get right back into that nice groove that you were in, where you were not overthrowing. You were just letting the fastball do its thing. Just aim to the middle of the plate. Young Gibbons is trying to get someone's attention. Looks like he's talking to Edwin Encarnación to play behind the runner. Napoli last time stroked a single into right field.
Two and oh. Blue Jays have a 3-0 lead. All the runs scoring on home runs. Edwin Encarnación, a 2-run homer. Eric Kratz, a solo shot. There's a strike. Jay Happ has 6 strikeouts tonight, including 5 in a row. Fouled back.
He had a stretch like that last year, didn't he?
2012.
It was 2 years ago.
August 17th against the Texas Rangers. He struck out Beltre, Michael Young, David Murphy, Giovanni Soto, Craig Gentry, and Mike Holt. 6 in a row.
Right in a row. And tonight did most of that damage with fastballs.
Breaking ball down. Full count, 1 out. Johnny Gomes on deck. He was called out on strikes in the second. That was the first of 5 straight strikeouts registered by Happ. Way off the plate inside. Back-to-back walks coming with 2 outs here in the 4th.
Hey, Happ, you mentioned the 5 straight strikeouts. This is what it looked like. Watch where the fastball is and how many times he's going to use that fastball against the Boston Red Sox hitter. Attack, attack, attack. He's not overthrowing. He's not trying to place the ball there. He's just letting it work. Just keep using it. So you got the last two hitters, the power hitters and Ortiz and Napa. It looked like he tried to generate just a little bit more, and he walked both of them.
Funny how he had a very aggressive approach in a scoreless game. Then he gets up 3-0 and begins to get a little conservative. Now he falls behind with the breaking ball.
I say just keep pumping the fastball in there. Just keep using it. Don't overthrow it. Just keep throwing it nice and smooth.
It's all about location. Located that one right on the outside corner. Johnny Gomes was struck out on an inside fastball. It was called strike 3. So he's got to have in the back of his mind, hey, that inside might be where they go after me. Ortiz at second, Napoli at first. And outside, backed it up. Now where do you go?
Heater in again. Why not? Or stay out there.
Knocks it down, recovers, and won't be able to make a play. Boy, there's a bad break for Jay Happ. He swatted at it behind his back and knocked it down. Had he let that ball go through, it was going right to second base.
And it would have been a double play, and the Blue Jays would have been out of the inning. Watch where the second baseman is. That's Steve Tollefson. He's right there. He would have caught that ball on 2 hops, stepped on the bag, and finished off the inning. But when Jay reaches back behind his back to try and catch it, and he almost caught it, he knocks it down, and there's just no play over at first base. Yeah, that is a bad break.
This natural reaction, you see a ball coming back at you, and you swat at it. We saw R.A. Dickey kick it one the other day in Texas, and it turned into a 1-6-3 ground out. But that was unfortunate because that ball was going right to second base and possibly would have been a double play. So now you have to forget about that. The bases are loaded and the Red Sox are threatening. Xander Bogaerts caught looking at strike 3, his only timeout. Jay Happ put a little too much mustard on that last pitch. He was trying to go away and he missed all the way inside.
Don't rush it. Concentrate on making a good pitch here. You make a good pitch, you'll get the ground ball.
Jay Happ had a terrific start against the Red Sox last year early in April. 5 1/3 of 1-hit ball. They gave up a leadoff double to Jacoby Ellsbury, and that was it.
Same formula, if I remember that. It was just, here's my fastball. Let me see what you can do. He was getting ahead of the hitters like he has been tonight, and he's been able to finish them off.
He left that ball game leading 2-0. The Jays would eventually win 5-0. 1-1. He beat the Red Sox with fastballs early in this game, and it looks like he switched gears a little bit.
No need to.
Back-to-back 1-out walks and then the infield single. Three and 1. Brock Holt on deck. Blue Jays lead it 3-0. Knocked down by Lawrie. Step on the bag, goes home, and they're going to get a double play. What a terrific play by Brett Lawrie. The reaction not only to knock it down, then the presence of mind to step on third, but then he goes home to cut down the run.
Who is quicker at third base than Brett Lawrie? Look at that. Gets the force and then the jump pass, where the only place he could have turned a double play was like that. That was incredible.
Now it's time for a Blue Jays Central update. Here's Jamie Campbell and Greg Zahn. Lawrie's glove at third base.
How about the reaction to knock it down, then the presence of mind to step on third, and then really the only place where he could get a double play was at home. You can see Ortiz in between. Now I've got to go because it's on the ground, and the jump pass to home. And that looks like a quarterback who's trying to throw a ball over the line of scrimmage. Big David Ortiz, and he completes it and completes the double play.
If Ortiz doesn't duck, that ball might hit him. He might score, but what a terrific defensive play. You won't see a better play at third base than that one right there. But Ortiz looked back over his shoulder and knew that Lawrie was coming home. He ducked out of the way. So it's still 3-0. Jay Happ gets out of it. Jose Reyes, 0 for 2 so far. Blue Jays have 3 runs on 3 hits. We mentioned the extra base hits that Doubront has allowed the Blue Jays. 3 extra base hits again tonight. Melky Cabrera's double, Encarnación homered, Kratz homered. All 3 hits are extra base hits. And that's been a pattern that he has fallen into against the Jays. Now they have hit 22 extra base hits in the last 7 starts against Doubront.
Continue to have good at bats.
Three and 1 to Reyes, the leadoff man. Melky Cabrera to follow. Then Bautista. There's a drive down the left field line. This is a fair ball up against the wall. Johnny Gomes fires it back into second. Reyes is in with a head first slide. Reyes' 12th double. Second double of the night for the Blue Jays.
Robbed of a hit his first time up. Great defensive play by the third baseman. He says, okay, I got to hit it somewhere where no one can catch it. This ball's a laser down into the corner. Gomes does a good job fielding it off the wall and throwing a strike to second base. But Jose Reyes' speed got him that double right there. He had an extra gear when he came around first base.
I mentioned he is hitting much better than his average would reflect. Melky Cabrera bunts right through it.
Watch Reyes right here. He knows it's down the line. Find the bag, and right there he finds an extra gear and speeds into second base, and it's not even close. Boy, if the Blue Jays gets consistency from him and Melky stays hot, that's going to be a lot of RBI opportunities for Bautista, Encarnación, Lind, and the rest of the gang.
Bautista is on deck. Melky Cabrera trying to advance Reyes. There's a drive to center. Jackie Bradley's not going to get this one. It's up against the wall. Reyes is around third. He's in to score. Melky Cabrera with his second double of the night.
Melky got away from it just a little bit in Texas, where he was swinging at pitches a little bit too anxious out of the strike zone, up and away. He is forcing Doubront down, and when you do that, when you get good pitches to hit like that, good hitters will not miss it. Hits it over Jackie Bradley for an extra base hit, another one.
Kevin Seitzer and Melky Cabrera had a little bit of a meeting before the extra VP session today. And Seitzer says, Melky, think about a little square box out over the heart of the plate. That's where you want the baseball. You're swinging at too many pitches that are borderline. Get the ball down. And boy, has he been good tonight. Edward Mujica starts to loosen up for the Red Sox. And now they've called the trainer out. And Doubront, after meeting with Juan Nieves, calls for the trainer and the manager. John Farrell has made his way to the mound. So there's an apparent injury. And Doubront and it looks like they made a call. John Farrell is not going to hesitate. And now he's trying to get the umpire, Gary Cederstrom, who's the crew chief, to bring the pitcher in to warm up on the mound, as Felix Doubront will leave with an apparent injury. Blue Jays lead at 4-0. Edward Mujica will come into the ball game. As riders battle through Italy's majestic terrain, the Giro d'Italia, May 9th through June 1st on Sportsnet. It is a gorgeous night at Fenway Park, and the Red Sox have had to go to their bullpen. Edward Mujica will come in and have as much time as he needs to warm up, because the starter, Felix Doubront, left with an apparent injury.
He was up and he was thrown. He was just getting started When Melky hit that double in the left center field, Edward Mujica was a starter in the Cleveland Indians organization. They moved him into the bullpen. He had a great year with the St. Louis Cardinals a couple of years ago. Mujica comes over to the Red Sox. John Farrell was the farm director for the Indians when they drafted him and had him in the farm system. Fastball, slider, split. He's got experience as a closer. And right now he's going to have to bridge some innings to get to the back end of the bullpen.
The 2014 Honda CR-V. Honda, proud to be the official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays.
We're in Boston, and if you're in Boston, you recognize that face. Pedro Martinez in the dugout.
He doesn't have a uniform on, does he?
I hope not.
I hope not.
But you see, he's talking with Arnie Baylor, the first base coach, and Pedro in some sort of position with the Red Sox. What a terrific pitcher. My, oh my. And he got the most out of his ability, that's for sure.
The years that he had here with the Boston Red Sox, some of those years were some of the greatest in Major League history. MLB Network has a top list of some of the best pitching performances, some of the best years. And his year, I forget what year it is, I'm sure we can find it. He won the Cy Young. He had an unbelievable ERA, a winning percentage, everything about it. And I still remember him in this ballpark in the All-Star game right here, striking out, was it the first 6 batters he faced? All-Stars, Sammy Sosa, Mark McGwire, Barry Larkin, Larry Walker, I think were 4 of the 6.
Tremendous career. Jose Bautista will bat with Melky Cabrera at second. Still nobody out. A run in. Cabrera drove in Jose Reyes, who started the inning with a double. Bautista has popped up and flied up. 4-0 Blue Jays. Bautista's been in such a groove all year long, being able to lay off those borderline pitches. And that was his goal when he set out this season. I am not chasing pitches.
He has forced those pitchers back into the strike zone, and when they miss, Jose hasn't missed this year. Outstanding on base percentage. He has hit over .330 with runners in scoring position with that same approach.
He leads the American League with 38 walks. He's second in on-base percentage to Sin-Shu Chu. Chu has a .435 on-base percentage. Bautista .433. Edwin Encarnación is on deck. He's already homered tonight. Bautista chased one, borderline. Full count. Melky Cabrera with the RBI double. His 21st ribby of the season.
Oh, and Jose had one to hit right there and was just a little tardy.
Still nobody out. We're in the 5th. Bautista chased one upstairs and strikes out. That'll bring Edwin Encarnación to the plate. The drive of the game is brought to you by the 2014 Honda CR-V. Honda, proud to be the official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Well, it's got to be Edwin Encarnación. I know we're only in the 5th inning, but this is a drive. This is about a $25 cab ride. Look where this one ends up, right off the sign across the street and bounces down onto Lansdowne Street. That certainly was a drive of the game.
That one was way out of here. The only question was whether it was fair or foul. 10 home runs now for Double E. Maybe it's 11. Get up, get out of here, gone. Edwin Encarnación. A 2-homer night.
You know, when first base was open after they struck out Jose Bautista, I'm like, well, he's not going to get anything to hit. He's deadly in this ballpark. He can knock it out of the ballpark with one swing. I said they're going to pitch around him. Wrong. They challenged him and they paid the price. 11 home runs now for Edwin Encarnación, and that was a bullet.
The Blue Jays with 3 home runs tonight. 2 by Encarnación.
How quick that one goes. You can see him saying, ooh, right off that AAA sign in left field.
Another rough outing for Felix Doubront, and ends with an injury. This is popped up back behind home plate. And David Ross stays with it and makes the catch right up against the backstop.
Watch how quickly this ball gets out of here. It's a fastball from Mujica. And Edwin was all over that one. That's a great angle to show you how quickly it got out of here, and it was on a line.
9 home runs in May for the Blue Jays first baseman. That'll make you smile. You hit him that hard, they go a long way. Blue Jays have now hit 30 home runs in the month of May. They hit 31 in April. There's a shot down the left field line. That's going to drop for a fair ball and bounce into the seats. Another extra base hit. Yana Navarro with the double. He's been on base 3 times tonight.
The only thing the Blue Jays can hit tonight are extra base hits. 3 home runs, 4 doubles. This one softly down the left field line and into the stands.
That might be the easiest souvenir foul ball anybody's ever gotten, huh?
Looked like he caught it in his hot dog wrapper.
I mean, this is so cool. This guy is like, oh yeah, I've done it before. Oh, you want a foul ball? Here you go. No problem.
She's more excited.
Look at that. I mean, he didn't even stop chewing. Never budged from his seat. Steve Tallison with a man at second, 2 outs. Can't tell you how important it is for the Blue Jays to get into the Red Sox bullpen first game of a series. They're coming off an off day, as are the Red Sox. But boy, you get into that bullpen early, and you can tax their pen for the next 3 nights. You just never know how the next couple of games are going to unfold. Drew Hutchison will go up against Clay Buchholz tomorrow, and then Burley and Lester on Thursday afternoon.
When it's early like this and you get into their bullpen, they don't really have a quote long man out of their bullpen. They've got a lot of 1-inning guys, the Red Sox. So it's early enough that you could use 3 or 4 relievers tonight. John Farrell knows that.
And you bet he's thinking about how he's going to finish out this game. We're in the 5th. They have 7 relievers. And they've got 3 left-handers. Juan Nieves is doing the same thing, looking at the matchup, saying, okay, how many innings do we have from Mujica? Tell you what, that's a bad feeling when you're the manager and pitching coach and you're thinking, okay, man, we got to use 3 guys tonight to close this game out. We got 2 more games with these guys and the way they're swinging the bats. No telling. Hot shot. Bogarts drops the ball and all hands are safe. Xander Bogaerts with his second error of the night, and you can see he is frustrated.
Yeah, it's in his head right now. When you watch him play, he knows that the Red Sox just signed Stephen Drew, and he knows that Drew has said it's going to take him 25 at-bats to get here. This is just an easy play right there. A major leaguer's got to make that play. It's in his head right now.
Boy, that's a tough feeling for any ball player, but when you start to lose confidence in your defensive skills. 6th error of the season, 2 tonight for Xander Bogaerts. Kratz hit a home run his last time up.
Well, you can't lose any confidence when you play a position like shortstop. You are involved in almost every play.
I don't know if you've ever gone through it. I've gone through it as a catcher. This is the play in the first inning off the bat of Melky Cabrera, a routine ball. He just airmailed Napoli at first, and then he just dropped that ball that Steve Thomason hit. They were both routine plays. Kratz drives this ball to right. Victorino over onto the warning track. Makes the catch, and the inning is over, but the Blue Jays put up a 3-spot in the 5th. Another home run for Edwin Encarnación. This is a shot into the green monster sign. 6-0 Blue Jays. Presented by TD. Sunday, June 1st, the Blue Jays will take on the Kansas City Royals. Game time is 1:07 p.m. The first 20,000 fans will receive a Blue Jays cowboy hat presented by TD. Call the Jays for tickets at 416-341-1234. Or you can always order your tickets online by logging on at BlueJays.com. The Blue Jays Country Day, Sunday, June 1st. 6-0 Blue Jays. Brock Holt, the third baseman, takes strike one. This game turned dramatically around in the bottom of the 4th when Brett Lawrie turned a terrific double play to end the inning. There's a drive to left field. Melky Cabrera will play it off the wall. Holt is on his way to second. Here's the throw. It is not in time. Leadoff double for Brock Holt, his first double of the season.
Looked like it was just a fly ball to left field. Looked like Melky was going to catch this one. It hits at the bottom of the wall. But again, it's one of those monster doubles.
Leadoff double. Now the number 8 hitter is the catcher, David Russ. 3 hits for the Red Sox. Ross goes after that first pitch.
Now watch the Red Sox now. They have understood that Jay Happ is starting to throw fastballs on that first pitch and throwing it over. They're swinging now on that first pitch.
I still believe that if you make a quality pitch, you can use that fastball. Shoot for halves of the play.
Sure.
Just don't want to cast it up there. Just make a good quality pitch. Got a 6-run lead. We have seen leads evaporate here at Fenway Park. There's a good fastball, and Ross gets jammed. Blue Jays won 2 of 3 against the Texas Rangers before having an off day yesterday. And you heard some players talk about, well, we've got to learn how to sweep those series. If we're going to be a contending ball club, we've got to finish the job.
Adam Lynn, one of those guys, saying that was a big ball game that we let get away. Really could have been a good series in Texas.
Well, you go from 23 and 22 to 24 and 21, and you move up in the standings. But more than anything, it really speaks volumes by saying, you know what, we're going to take all 3 of these games, and you just go ahead and sweep the Rangers, and then you really can enjoy the off-day ground ball. Reyes gobbles it up, takes his time. Ross is retired 1 down.
This has really been a trouble spot, I think, for the Red Sox. The bottom of their order. They're top heavy with some really good hitters who are having decent years, but you get past 6, 7, 8, 9, and it's 196, 265. In the 8th slot, it's 181 and 212. They've hit 8 home runs, those 4 slots, all season long, and 56 RBIs. And you know, John Farrell talked about navigating through his lineup through the top part, and you get down to the bottom. They just haven't had a lot of production.
Well, they had 100 RBIs in 3 different spots in their lineup last year: first base, left field, and DH. Left field has been a big problem for them this year, as they have 29 RBIs. The DH has 28, and first base 19. They're just not getting the same kind of production they had last year.
One thing that is really shocking when you talk about a Red Sox team, the lack of power that we just haven't seen from the Red Sox this year.
They've gotten 4 home runs from the first baseman, 3 from the left field. They're in 12. That's Ortiz from the DH. But last year they had Daniel Nava and Johnny Gomes, a very productive platoon in left. Daniel Nava's down in AAA.
And he might be the next guy to come up here if they want to tweak their roster just a little bit. I mean, that's the rumor that I was hearing today. But coming into this game, they are 12th in the American League in home runs with just 34. That's not a Red Sox team. They've got bruisers in that lineup.
Two and 2. Jackie Bradley Jr. batting 9th. He has played very well in the field. He's a very fine defender. But he's starting to have doubts in his mind, and that's the worst thing you can do as a young hitter. There's a fly ball to left field. This is trouble. It's off the monster. Holt comes around and he'll score. And Jackie Bradley Jr. picks up his 14th RBI of the season. And the Sox are on the board. And that has awakened the crowd here at Fenway.
Well, the difference between that pitch from Jay Happ and the one he got him to strike out on, it's right down the middle. The one he got him to strike out on was down and away, and Bradley goes the other way, doesn't try and pull it, hits it off the wall to cash in Brock Holt. So the bottom of the lineup that has been giving the Red Sox trouble this year comes through tonight.
So Dustin Pedroia, the leadoff man. 6-1 Blue Jays. Blue Jays have 7 hits. All of their hits are extra base hits. Now the Red Sox have a pair of doubles here in the 5th. Pedroia tried to check. He went around. Another interesting oddity about the AL East this season, there's not a club that's over 500 at home. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's jammed up top to bottom, but no one is over 500 at home. You look at the records for the division. The Yankees are 11-11. The Orioles are 9-10. The Blue Jays are 10-11. Boston is 10-14, and Tampa Bay is 8-12. I mean, Tampa Bay always had a great home record.
Yeah, home field advantage there. Every one of them lost yesterday or Sunday, their last game.
Pedroia hits it hard down the left field line. That's a fair ball. Here comes Jackie Bradley around to score. And here come the Red Sox. 3 doubles in the inning.
You know where you can't throw a ball to Dustin Pedroia anything up? He has been doing this, a pitch that is about shoulder height, for years and years. That ball rattles around in the corner. 3rd double of the inning. 16th on the season for Pedroia, but that ball up, he just has a knack of staying on top of it and driving it into the outfield.
He might be the best high ball hitter in the American League. I mean, he can get up there and hit anybody's fastball, but it's high. That's a ball. He goes up there and hammers it.
If he lets it go, it is a ball, but he likes it and he can hit it.
Cino Gaston always talked about Pedroia going up there and getting the ball, not swinging at it, but just taking everything up and staying on a level plane.
That's how you're able to drive the ball on high pitches like that.
That's Pedroia's 16th double. Dustin McGowan starting to loosen up for the Jays. McGowan pitched 2/3 of an inning on Sunday, got a double play ball. Victorino drives this one into center. Kevin Pillar over quickly, makes the catch in the alley. 2 down. Let's check in with Jamie Campbell. Miguel Gonzalez is the starter for the Orioles. He has 5 strikeouts, hasn't walked the batter through 5 innings. The Orioles 22-20. They're trying to get their 23rd win of the season. They're a half game behind the Yankees. David Ortiz with Pedroia at second. Ball bounced in the dirt. Good job by Eric Kratz. And to scramble to get in front of that one.
Just get a piece of it with some part of your body. Looked like he got it off the arm. Yeah, off the hip, off the arm, just knocks it down.
Ortiz has struck out and walked so far tonight. Oh, good pitch. Down and away. Ortiz has basically been the only hitter in the Red Sox lineup that has performed up to standards. When you look at what he's done coming into this game, batting .299 with 11 homers and 25 ribbies.
Month of May has been really good to him.
There's a drive deep to center field. Kevin Pillar will get over there and make the catch in front of the Red Sox bullpen. Jay Happ gets out of the inning. Red Sox get 2 runs on 3 hits. We'll go to the 6th. Blue Jays have a 6-2 lead. Buffalo. The Buffalo Bison's opponents in June will include the Syracuse Chiefs, June 7th and 8th. The Rochester Red Wings, June 20th through the 23rd. For tickets, make sure you log on to bisons.com. Great AAA baseball in a beautiful ballpark down in the heart of Buffalo. There's a former Buffalo Bison going to come off the bench and pinch hit. Anthony Gomes will bat for Kevin Pillar. Pillar, the starter in center field. Against the left-hander Doubront, he went 0 for 2. So Gomes will get an opportunity against Edward Mujica. We are in the 6th. Blue Jays have a 6-2 lead. First pitch strike. Anthony Gomes has done a nice job since rejoining the ball club. He's hit 267. He's 4 for 15. He has really had an impact defensively and with his wheels.
Yeah, and he's taken his share of walks also. His at-bats are much better. There are the numbers, just 2 for 9, a double and a couple of runs. He's been a force on the bases. Great defense. And he's had good at-bats.
6 walks so far for Gomes. This is his first pinch hit at bat of the season. Hit hard on the ground. Pedroia dives, gets it, and Gomes is out by a half a step. What a terrific play by Dustin Pedroia. That's determination. He dove for the ball and then slipped as he tried to get up and threw from the ground.
When the ball left the bat, I didn't think he had a shot at it. Watch where this ball is, the break he gets. Then when he caught it, I said, well, he still can't get enough on it to get the very fast Anthony Gomes. And he did all of it. What a player. Catches it, slides, shovels it over to first base just ahead of Gomes.
And he got him. And you could see all the while he was trying to find the baseball, he was struggling to find it. He was losing his traction, and he still made a good throw. That's how you win Gold Gloves.
Yeah, that's how you win MVPs and everything else that he has done in this game.
Pedroia has just 1 error this season, and that occurred on a dropped ball on a transfer, and they have since changed that rule. If I were him, I would appeal that error.
It was the next day, wasn't it,
Yep.
that they changed it?
The next day.
Changed the rule.
Reyes takes a strike, gets 1 and 2.
Yeah, if you're going to play and change the rules, you should change the errors then.
Yeah. Go back and say, well, and they're going to say, well, it was the rule at the time he committed the error. But they changed the rule because of the video replay. Two balls and 2 strikes. We're in the 6th. Blue Jays lead it 6-2. And the Blue Jays have put on some early fireworks here tonight. 7 hits, all extra base hits. Reyes pops this one up. Jose Reyes had a double in the 5th. He came around to score on Melky Cabrera's double. There's a ground ball. Much easier play for Pedroia. Reyes is out. 2 down. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership. Fenway Park, it opened in 1912, and they have done some marvelous renovations, and it has become a destination for baseball fans all over the world. I tell you what, I don't know how they've done it, but they have transformed this place into a terrific ballpark.
Yeah, you and I have been coming here a long, long time. And remember back in the days when they just had the roof, they had the lower section, and that was it, and the bleachers out in right field. Now they've built the monster seats over the green monster in left field. They put seats down in the right field corner. Put the double deckers up here.
We've got private boxes and executive suites and all kinds of great concession stands. They've widened the concourse underneath the stands. Melky Cabrera has been on base 3 times, reached on an error in the first, and then he doubled in the third and doubled in the fifth.
That's a much better eye that we have seen from Melky tonight. Got a little anxious there the last couple of days in Texas. Started swinging out a lot of pitches. He DH'd and went 0 for 5 on Saturday, and then 1 for 4 on Sunday.
That ball is drilled down towards Pesky's pole and hits it, a home run. Melky Cabrera, another home run, his 7th of the season. That's the 4th home run for the Blue Jays tonight.
Do you see what happens when you are patient and you force that pitcher when he falls behind to come in there? Well, he has got a quick bat. Three and 1. It looked like a heater from Mujica, and Melky turned on that one.
Look at Kevin Seitzer. He's all excited. Cabrera's hitting strikes again.
3 and 1. Fastball ripped to right field, right off the pole. Yeah, you can smile after that one.
Bautista pops it back our way. Boy, that is a long home run right off the top of Pesky's pole. Make the hitting coach smile. Look at that. 8 hits tonight. They've all been extra base hits. Bautista chases the pitch off the plate. Well, that's the one thing about this team is you can shut down Bautista. You might even shut down Lind or Lawrie. But there are 3 or 4 other guys in the lineup that can hurt you.
It's deep. It's one of the deepest. And tonight, as Bautista shoots that ball the other way, how about the thunder that the Blue Jays have sitting on that bench tonight?
Lind, Francisco, a couple of big left-handed bats, and John Farrell is out. He has made the call to the bullpen. The Blue Jays, 7 runs on 9 hits, 8 extra base hits. Bautista with the first single of the night. We'll go to the bullpen. New pitcher into the game for the Red Sox. They have changed a lot of things at Fenway Park, but one thing they have kept over the years is the manually operated scoreboard. That fella has a list of the scores, and he takes those 10 numbers and will slide them into the slots and hang them as he does the names of the teams. Classic aspect of this beautiful ballpark. New pitcher is Bert Badenhaupt, his 20th appearance of the season. Edwin Encarnación has 2 home runs tonight. His 14th career multi-home run game, his 3rd multi-homer game this season.
Numbers starting to get very respectable for Edwin. Now 11 homers and 35 driven in.
Drives this one to right. Victorino is there. The inning is over, but the Blue Jays get another run. Melky Cabrera is having a big night. He is 3 for 4 with a pair of doubles and this long home run off Pesky's pole. His 7th of the season, 4th of the night for the Jays. For the Indians, and the Indians had a walk-off home run last night. Michael Brantley hit a solo home run in the 10th to beat the Tigers, who tied it up in the top of the 9th. J.D. Martinez hit a home run to center, but Cleveland trying to make it 2 in a row, and they jumped all over Justin Verlander. 5 runs on 11 hits in 5 innings. Jay Happ once again with a 5-run lead now. It'll be Napoli, Gomes, and Bogarts for the Red Sox. Sharply hit. Reyes knocks it down, but he can't make a play. He left his feet. It's a base hit for Napoli. He is 2 for 2 with a walk.
Jose got there. It just didn't go into his glove. If it goes into his glove, he's able to get up and make the play. It ricocheted off of his glove. Right there, just never secured it in the pocket. Looked like he wanted to take his glove off and throw it at the ball after he missed it.
We used to do that as kids, huh? Take your glove off and throw the ball down. Anthony Goes, who pinched hit, is in center field. There's a deep drive to left field. Johnny Gomes has hit one off the top of the wall. Mike Napoli is going to be stopped at third base, and now they've got Napoli hung up. He thinks it's a home run. They throw to third, and he is safe.
I think they're going to call this a home run. Both managers are out sprinting towards third base right here to talk about this one.
John Gibbons is arguing with the home plate umpire, Lance Barksdale, and Gibbons is arguing at third, and now Farrell's going over to say we need to review this. Kerwin Danley.
I think it's going to be a home run. It's got to go above that red line right there, and from where we were sitting, it looked like it hit above that and then hit that back wash and came back.
There is a lip behind that wall, and watch this ball. It hits above the fence, and that will probably be changed to a home run because it hit that railing behind it and knocked it back onto the field. But that was a funny situation. You had both managers on the field arguing with the umpires about different things.
See that back splash right there? It hit it and came back down. So they're going to call this a home run. It'll be a 2-run homer. Yeah, it's an easy call.
Gary Cedarstrom is the crew chief, and he is indicating home run. And the crowd saw the replay on the scoreboard, and they knew that it was going to be reversed. And Johnny Gomes, with his 4th home run, knocks in Mike Napoli. So John Gibbons has made the call to his bullpen. Dustin McGowan has been up. He is ready, and he will come into this ball game. So Jay Happ will leave the game after 5 innings plus 2 batters and turn things over to Dustin McGowan. Blue Jays have a 7-4 lead. We're in the 6th. Lots of baseball left. Single, then the 2-run home run. He's out of the ball game. He goes 5 innings. He is in line for the win. He gives up 4 runs on 7 hits. And now it's Dustin McGowan making his 2nd relief appearance.
You know, the thing about Dustin, he came from the starting rotation, so he is stretched down. He can give you multiple innings. 2 good, strong innings at least. His stuff plays better as a reliever. There are his numbers in 9 games this year.
First up, Xander Bogaerts is the batter.
Jay Happ was cruising right along, and now 4 extra base hits in the last 2 innings. Knocks him from the game.
That's what the Red Sox can do. They haven't done it frequently this season, but that's their pedigree, especially in this ballpark. Johnny Gomes with his 4th home run. It's a 7-4 Blue Jays lead. Breaking ball, and Bogaerts is quickly behind 0-2. Well, the Blue Jays, they've hit 4 home runs tonight. They have allowed 1. They have out-homered their opponents 45-24 over the last 27 games. I mean, that's hammering the baseball.
Yeah, you got to be winning more games if you get that kind of offense.
ball boy, making that young Red Sox fan very happy. Fenway Park, he gets a baseball. Little pop up down the right side. Long run for Bautista. He's not going to get there. Bogaerts reaches. All of a sudden, you can sense the momentum is swinging over toward the Red Sox.
And those kind of hits right there are just tough to swallow if you're the Blue Jays. You're ahead 0-2. Bogaerts has had a rough night tonight in the field. He make a good pitch and he does this. Out in the no man's land. Bautista can't get it. Tollison can't get it. And another batter reaches base.
Well, Bautista's got to play deep. This club's got a 3-run lead, and you can't guard against those flares, and that's exactly what that was. Brock Holt doubled and scored in the 5th. You have to stem the tide.
Get outs right now. That's what you're looking for, to cut that momentum off. Last inning, it came from a defensive play. Check that was 2 innings ago that the Red Sox were threatening a couple of walks and an infield hit, and that unbelievable play by Brett Lawrie.
One of the best plays we've seen all season. Lawrie stepped on the bag, threw it home for a double play that ended the inning. There's a base hit to right. Bogaerts stops at second. Brock Holt has his second hit of the night. That's 4 straight hits for the Red Sox here in the 6th. Jay Happ, the starter, at one point struck out 5 straight Red Sox hitters. For the night, he has 6 strikeouts. 5 plus 2 batters. He is charged with 4 earned runs on 7 hits. Aaron Loop starts to loosen up. John Gibbons knows you've got to make decisions quickly here before things get out of hand. That ball is bunted in the air. Lawrie makes the catch as David Ross bunted with a sacrifice and pops it into foul territory. Boy, that's a huge out for the Blue Jays.
That's a big out right there. A couple of runners. Red Sox are trying to get into scoring position. It's a high fastball, and Brett Laurie's speed goes and gets that one. He reads the bat. I don't think he was expecting Ross to bunt, but then saw the bat square around, and hard charging makes the out.
Doesn't that reflect the struggles of the Red Sox, though? They don't bunt very often in this ballpark, and they haven't scored runs. They're trying to manufacture runs, and that's a departure from what we have seen over the years. It's a fly ball to center. Anthony Gomes back at the warning track, makes the catch. Bogaerts goes back to second and tags, and Gomes gets the ball back to the infield, but now there are 2 outs. You rarely ever saw the Red Sox bunt in the 6th inning with a power hitter like David Ross, and they can drive the ball out of the ballpark.
It's surprising bunting for the number 9 hitter who's hitting 200. There are a couple of guys in scoring position for a guy hitting 200.
I just think that reflects the struggles of the Red Sox and how they're just trying to score runs any way they can do it. Now they turn it over to the leadoff man, Dustin Pedroia.
And this is the last guy I think the Blue Jays want to see here hitting. This guy never gives away any at-bats. He is such a tough out.
Pedroia with an RBI double in the 5th. He's 1 for 3. First and third, 2 outs. Dustin McGowan in relief of Jay Happ. Ball on the strike. Boy, you're right. Dustin Pedroia, he's not swinging the bat as well as we have seen in the past, nor as well as he will. But this is the last guy you want to see up with a situation like this.
Yeah, you're up by 3 runs to the Blue Jays. You got a couple of runners on. You're trying to end this inning. This guy is not going to be an easy out.
And he makes you work. Shane Victorino is on deck. Red Sox scored 2 in the 5th. They've scored 2 so far here in the 6th. Johnny Gomes with a 2-run homer this inning.
That's a lot of breaking balls right there from McGowan to Pedroia.
You can throw him fastballs. You just keep him down and away.
Yeah, you could shoot the ball to right field. You know that saying in baseball, find a way. Just find a way to get it done. This guy does that every night.
2-2, 2 outs. Now it's 4. And the Bogarts is at 3rd. He's singled. Brock Holt, his second hit of the night, he singled to right as well. And here come the Fenway faithful. Victorino is on deck. Full count. Brock will be off on the pitch at first. There he goes. Pedroia strikes out. He argues that he foul-tipped it, and he's not going to win this argument. Lance Barksdale calls him out. The Red Sox strand a pair. 3-2 slider from Dustin McGowan. Pedroia strikes out.
Sox. Now it's an unorthodox play, but it's going to end up being a double play. Look at him knock that ball down with great range, touch third base, and have the presence of mind to throw a jump pass, if you will, to the catcher to finish off the double play. It goes 5-2, double play, getting the Blue Jays out of a tough spot.
The bases were loaded with 1 out when Lawrie made that play, and that was a pivotal point of the ball game. At the time, it was 3-0 Blue Jays. He made that inning-ending play, and the Blue Jays came back and scored 3 in the top half of the 5th. Turned the game around dramatically. But the Red Sox have scratched their way back into this game. It's a 7-4 Blue Jays lead as the Jays are set to bat in the 7th. Rick Badenhop got Edwin Encarnación to fly out to end the 6th. Lawrie hits it on the ground. Pedroia gets in front of it and throws him out, one down. We've just been informed that Felix Doubront left the ball game with left shoulder fatigue. And he knew that there was an injury involved because the manager and trainer came out. They removed him from the game, so Red Sox are hoping that's nothing more than fatigue. Kirk Badenhop in relief of Edward Mujica, who went an inning and 2/3. Mujica is charged with 2 runs on 4 hits.
Badenhop is a multi-inning guy. He has thrown 2+ innings in 5 of his 19 games this year. Sinker, slider, that's what you're going to get from the veteran. He's been around. Throws a lot of strikes. Tough to get the ball in the air against him.
Gianna Navarro is the DH tonight, and he's been on base 3 times, a pair of walks and a ground rule double. Melky Cabrera's had a big night. Pair of doubles, a home run. He's driven in 2 and scored 3. He's been on base 4 times tonight.
It's not over either. He's going to get another at bat. And the way this game has been going, the Blue Jays are going to need every run that they can get.
Popped up over near the seats. Brock Holt will run out of room. Holt moves around pretty good at third base. Will Middlebrooks is the young third baseman. They're hopeful will get healthy and play consistently, but this guy's been impressive in the field and at the plate.
Last time we saw the Red Sox back at Rogers Center a couple of weeks ago, John Farrell was saying he was just caught in a numbers game. They had just sent Holt down before they came to Toronto. It's been a little spark plug tonight.
Off speed pitch, and Navarro breaks his bat.
Canon's Best in Glass sales event. Performance cameras and lenses at the season's best prices. Visit canon.ca/bestinglass.
Two balls and 2 strikes to Gianna Navarro, who bats with 1 out. We're in the 7th inning. Full count. You and I have both seen a lot of things happen from the 7th inning to the end of the ball games here in Fenway Park.
Too many bad things if you're a Blue Jay fan.
Steve Tallison, the second baseman, is on deck. Morrow fouls it back. An extended at bat for Gianna Navarro. 8-pitch at bat. Rob Rasmusson is the newest Blue Jay. He just joined the ball club from AAA Buffalo. David Ortiz is the second hitter in the inning for Boston. Jackie Bradley Jr. He can really track him down in center. 2 down. Let's check in with Jamie Campbell. Masahiro Tanaka has been perfect, and he has really put together a great start to his career. 2 runs on 6 hits through 4 innings, and the Cubs are trying to strap a nail on him. Tanaka, going back to the last regular season, has not lost a game in 46 starts.
He was undefeated last year, wasn't he?
24-0.
24-0. And what is he at this year? 5-0? 6-0? Yep. Yeesh.
He's earning his money.
So I guess there's no difference between the American League East and the Japan League then. Is that what you're saying?
I'm not prepared to say that. Steve Tollison strikes out. 3 up, 3 down. We'll go to the bottom of the 7th. After every game, Mike Wilner, host of Blue Jays Talk, delivers insight and debate. Blue Jays Talk after the game on Sportsnet 590, The Fan. Lots of Blue Jay fans here in attendance at Fenway Park. It is a beautiful ballpark, and if you haven't made your way to Fenway, look at the schedule and mark it down. Come on back. Blue Jays will be here 2 more times this summer.
They have a lot of fun here, don't they?
It's a great ballpark. It's such an atmosphere. Around the ballpark, they've incorporated the theme of baseball all over in the neighborhoods. And there's lots of restaurants and bars in the area, and people mill around the ballpark before the gates open, and everybody has a good time. And of course, then you get to hear Sweet Caroline, Scott Carson's favorite song, in the 8th inning. Shane Victorino, the number 2 hitter. He's 0 for 3 so far. Dustin McGowan in relief of Jay Happ. Victorino, the good cut.
If he gets him, does he stay in the game? As Delabar is now joined with Rasmussan. If he gets him, does he stay in to face Ortiz?
Yeah, I think so. 1 out, nobody on. Let him face Ortiz.
If he loses him,
go to the left-hander.
Lefty and then righty. I think that's why Delabar is up.
David Ortiz is on deck. He's gone 0 for 2 with a walk, a strikeout and a flyout. Tell you what, you saw John Gibbons and Pete Walker in the dugout. That's not a comfortable feeling over there. You got the 3-run lead. Look at the concern.
Yeah, they know where they're at here. Tough ballpark, tough team. Still 3 innings to go.
Victorino, they appeal a swing, and first base umpire said no swing. Full count. Hit hard to Reyes. It's short. Across the diamond in time. 1 down. So this is how you want to face David Ortiz and John Gibbons. How about this? He's going to give the young left-hander his first dose of Major League Baseball. Rob Rasmusson the young left-hander. And how about this? Oh, the first batter, Big Papi. Welcome to the big leagues. Left-hander Rob Rasmusson will make his first major league appearance, and John Gibbons called him into the game and then had something to say that made him smile at least.
Break the ice, make it a little bit easier when you're making your major league debut. There are his numbers in 13 games in AAA. Fastball, curveball, slider, changeup. He was a starter in the minor leagues until this year. Sliders earlier in the count, curveballs, put-away pitch. Now he has racked up 10.6 strikeouts per 9 innings.
He turned 25 in April. He was originally drafted by the Dodgers in 2007, didn't sign, and then he signed with the Marlins. He was drafted in the second round by the Miami Marlins. He is a UCLA Bruin, so he'll have a common bond down there with the closer Casey Jansen. 7th inning. First major league appearance for Rob Rasmusson. Not only do you get to make your debut at Fenway Park, you face none other than David Ortiz.
You knew he would too, didn't you? You knew that the lefty would match up against him, and that would be his guy.
There's a strike.
It's a strike.
Yeah, that's right, that was a crazy call.
What do you think his heart rate is?
1,000.
2-2. And oh, by the way, besides that, he hits a lot of home runs against the Blue Jays. 50 home runs for David Ortiz. He's the active home run leader. Jason Giambi, Mark Teixeira, Adam Jones, and Derek Jeter, a who's who of big league baseball.
Those 50 home runs, third most ever against Toronto, ever. A-Rod has 56, and Manny Ramirez had 54. And then Big Papi with 50.
Rasmusson had 13 games with Buffalo at a .265 earned run average. 19 strikeouts in 17 innings. Hot shot. Encarnación will go to the bag, and Rasmusson has a third of an inning under his belt in the big leagues. He gets Big Papi out. So John Gibbons will go to the pen. He's made the call for Steve Delabar. Major league debut for Rob Rasmusson was a good one. They give him the baseball, say, take it with you, kid. Rasmussan out, Delaware in. Blue Jays lead at 7-4. 2 outs, bottom of the 7th. Napoli will bat. On your smartphone, visit RogersAnyPlaceTV.com/sports to get started. And if you had that tonight, you'd see a Major League debut. 4 Blue Jay home runs, and the Blue Jays have a 3-run lead. Steve Delaware into the game to face Mike Napoli.
Picked up his 3rd win of the season on Saturday with an inning in the 3rd at Texas, had 3 strikeouts. He's 3-0 in 20 games. Threw an inning in the 3rd that day. They might need an inning out of 3rd out of him tonight.
Well, he gets the 3rd out of the way on just 1 pitch. Napoli grounds out to 3rd. But go to the 8th. The Blue Jays lead at 7-4. Saturday, May 24th, the Blue Jays will be back home to take on the Oakland A's. Game time is 1:07 p.m. There are special kids prize tickets in the 200 and 500 level outfield seats. After the game, kids 14 and under can run the bases just like the pros. So call the Blue Jays for tickets at 416-341-1234 or log online at bluejays.com to order your tickets for the next Junior Jays Saturday. 4th pitcher of the night for Boston is the left-hander Craig Breslow, making his 13th appearance. Breslow has been tough on righties, not so much against left-handed batters.
Look at that. His problem is throwing the ball over consistently for strikes. He's got 11 strikeouts and 9 base on balls this year in 12 games for Breslow. He's a lefty specialist. Here to probably pitch an inning if he has a quick one.
It'll be 8-9-1 for the Blue Jays. Eric Kratz has homered, walked, and flied out. Kratz hit a deep home run to center field in the 4th. It was a 2-run home run and put the Blue Jays up 3-0 at the time. Home run number 3 for Kratz. Kratz is kind of drawing more attention to himself the way he has caught. The fact that he's got some power. Made a terrific throw in Texas to catch a base stealer. It's this ball off the end of the bat. That's going to hang up for Jackie Bradley Jr. 1 down.
Well, he's a big league player. You know, John Gibbons really likes him. He likes the idea that he's got some pop in that bat.
He does a nice job behind the plate, and he's got a very strong arm. He made a heck of a throw the other day in Texas. So 1 out, Anthony Gomes will get his second at bat. He came into the ballgame as a pinch hitter in the 6th and was retired on a nice play by Dustin Pedroia. He bunts this one up the first base line, and you could forget about this. Anthony Gomes, what a beautiful bunt. Second time we've seen him utilize that bunt, and that was easy. I mean, it was no contest. He got it away from the pitcher. Napoli had to come and get it. When he did, he vacated first.
You know, just get it on the ground, and with that great speed, he is going to beat it out. Watch this. Textbook. Get the bat head out and bring it with you. Left-hander falling off to the third base side. No play. No chance.
And there's a misconception that when you bunt, you have to surprise everybody. But you could see how he squared around with plenty of time, and he wasn't rushed. Now he's a threat to run. He draws the throw from Breslow. Leadoff man Jose Reyes is 1 for 4 with a double. Breslow had Gomes going back to the bag at first. Anthony not that familiar with the Red Sox lefty.
Yeah, he might have to guess on first movement right here because he doesn't have anything to go on Breslow. What he does to tip off the runner at first base. You can run on Ross. Just 2 for 13. He's thrown out this year. But he's going to have to guess right.
Back over there again.
You know what? If he's not that familiar with him and he doesn't look like he's real sure, don't go. You've got Reyes and then Melky coming up, and then Bautista behind him. You've got a left-hander out on the mound. You don't want to be running into an out here or getting picked off.
The Pitch Tracker is brought to you by Acer, official partner of the Toronto Blue Jays. We're in the 8th. It's a 7-4 Blue Jays lead. Reyes hits it on the ground. Bogart shovels to Pedroia for 1. Back to first. Double play. Nice double play turn by the Red Sox. That ends the top half of the 8th. The Jays have a 7-4 lead, and John Gibbons appears to be out to call a challenge on that possible play. John Gibbons has asked the umpires to challenge the play. So now let's check in with Jamie Campbell and Greg Zahn. It's time for a Blue Jays update.
Blue Jays, Red Sox tomorrow on Sportsnet. Blue Jays, Red Sox tomorrow on Sportsnet.
Lead as we head to the bottom of the 8th inning. Blue Jays hit into a double play, 6-4-3 double play. That ended the inning. John Gibbons came out, but never asked for the review. Steve Delabar got out of the bottom of the 7th with one pitch. Johnny Gomes jumps on the first pitch and hits it off the green monster. Gomes is headed for second. Here's the throw. Gomes stops, and he'll get back to first. Blue Jays got to have a little more communication. If Tallison reacts quickly, they got a shot at getting Gomes at first.
You know what he has to do? He has to take one more quick glance over his left shoulder to see what the runner is doing. You can't anticipate that he's coming automatically. He goes there and just puts it down, and you can see Gomes is way around first base. He's thinking two right here. And as a second baseman, right now you take a quick glance to see where that runner is, if he's stopping or not. And they had a shot to get him on a wide turn.
Johnny Gomes has 3 hits tonight, 3 for 4. Xander Bogaerts takes a strike. Bogaerts had a bloop single in the 6th. He's had a tough night in the field. Committed 2 errors at shortstop.
Come on, let's make it up. Get 2-run ball. Get it.
Nice block by Kratz. Delamar, the 3rd reliever to work for the Blue Jays tonight. Dustin McGowan went an inning in the 3rd. Rob Rasmussan made his major league debut and retired David Ortiz. Only man he faced. Now Delamar. Brock Holt is on deck. The 3rd baseman has 2 hits in 3 at-bats. Had a good night.
Looked like Steve rushed it just a little bit right there, and that's where that ball goes up and into the right-handers.
He walked him. That'll bring the tying run to the plate. Leadoff single, now a walk. Well, the Blue Jays just can't get around the walks.
Nope. Luckily for them tonight, We saw Jay Happ had a couple of walks and neither one of them scored. And now a walk by Delabart. That's how the Red Sox put things together. A couple of 2-strike hits, a walk here, and then a home run, and they're right back into it. The walk is a big part of what they do offensively.
John Fale talking to his bench coach, Torey Lovello, about the options they have. They have 3 left-handed bats on the bench, and that's why Loop is warming up. And John Gibbons makes the call. It'll be Loop for Brock Holt. Lefty on lefty. Delabart records just 1 out. Got Mike Napoli to end the 7th, gives up a single to Johnny Gomes, who walks to Xander Bogaerts, and now it'll be Loop into the ball game. 8th inning, nobody out, 2 aboard. Loop into the ball game. This will be his 20th appearance, and he has inherited a couple of more base runners. There's still nobody out. The Red Sox bunted in the 6th in a similar situation, and that was kind of a surprise. David Ross is on deck. He's the man that bunted, and he popped out foul to Brett Lawrie. Brock Holt is bunting and runs it to 3rd. Lawrie will go to 1st for the out. So the sacrifice is effective. And now you have a right-handed bat against Aaron Loop. Runners move up. Holt picks up the sacrifice.
Talked about the bottom of the lineup that has really been a tough spot for the Red Sox this year. So they are playing for 1 or 2 runs here in the 8th inning.
David Ross against the lefty Aaron Loop. First pitch strike.
I don't know about that one.
Ross is hitting just 190 against lefty pitching. He is 4 for 21, but he has a pair of home runs. Tried to check, and he did.
That's a good changeup right there from Loop. Had him out in front.
Let's bump this average up a little bit. Little 3-run
Ball and a strike.
Let's do this, Ross. Let's do this.
Another changeup came right back with it.
I like how you double up on that. He's got 3 pitches that he can get you out with. And you have to be unpredictable.
Ross hitting 170. Jammed him with that fastball. Got it right in on his fists.
That one registered 94 miles an hour. It's a nice complement of pitches. The changeup at about 79, and then you buzz that heater in there at 94.
Got it. 94 upstairs, and Ross couldn't catch up. That's a big out. Now you've got the number 9 hitter at the plate, Jackie Bradley Jr. after a big strikeout.
Upstairs, that's what you want to do. It looked like they were trying to go in, but something up. He's either going to foul it back, pop it up, or swing through it. 2 of the 3 are good things for the Blue Jays.
Jackie Bradley Jr. had an RBI double in the 5th. That came against the left-hander Jay Happ. 208 for the season. Now has 14 RBIs.
He's a good eye. Let's do this. Oh, a little loose over there.
Dustin Pedroia waits on deck. Blue Jays bullpen is quiet.
He absolutely has to get this guy right here. He's hitting 9th, left on left. Bradley's hitting 208. He's got to get him.
Bradley's hitting 190 against lefty pitching. 2 balls and a strike, 2 outs. Johnny Gomes at 3rd. Xander Bogaerts at 2nd. Bogaerts can run.
Crunch it.
3-1. Popped up. Collison, the second baseman, calls for it, and Luke strands a pair. So we'll go to the 9th. Big night for Melky Cabrera. 2 doubles and a home run. Bautista has a single, and Edwin Encarnación. A multi-home run game, number 10 and 11. Sawa, who's got good numbers, 1-0 with a 3.00 ERA, but he has never thrown well against the Blue Jays. They have always hit him hard.
He has thrown 15 and a third innings against Blue Jays, giving up 23 hits and 13 earned runs, a .359 batting average, and it's the long ball that has really hurt him.
7 home runs he is allowed, and you look at his numbers against everybody else, he has no problem with anybody else.
Outstanding. Look at the walk to strikeout to walk ratio, 15-2 in a whip of 1-1. But against the Blue Jays, he has had his problems.
And he has a tough part of the order. Cabrera, Bautista, Encarnación. If you add Reyes to that quartet of Dominican-born players, they've combined to hit 33 home runs. Those 4 players. More home runs than the Twins, the Phillies, the Mets, the Rangers, the Cardinals, and the Royals. 4 Blue Jays have out-homered 6 teams. Melky Cabrera with his 7th home run in the 6th inning. He is 3 for 4 tonight. We're in the 9th inning. The Blue Jays have a 7-4 lead. Melky fouls it back. Cabrera's just 1 for 6 against Tazawa. Bautista, who will bat next, is 2 for 4 with a home run. Encarnación, he has a home run against Tazawa.
Melky's already had 1 4-hit game this season. Looking for another one here.
Stayed back on that splitter and fouls it off. Well, Kevin Seitzer will be happy about his discussion with Melky Cabrera during extra BP today. He said, hey, would you stop swinging at bad pitches and get some strikes?
He's done that. Mission accomplished.
Blue Jays have pounded out 10 hits, including 4 home runs. There's another hit for Melky Cabrera, 4 for 5.
On base 5 times. And it's that short swing. Follow the ball. You can see Kevin Seitzer writing down his notes about his hitters. 2-strike approach, out over the plate, send it right back where it came from. What a night.
What a stroke. 2 doubles, a home run, and a single. He reached on an error in his first at bat. Jose Bautista is 1 for 4 so far tonight. And Bautista appeared to get out of the way of that inside pitch. On the wild pitch, Cabrera goes to second.
You think that was a ball that just slipped, or is that a calling card right there?
Well, you know what? It wouldn't surprise me. He didn't hit him. He just stood him up with an inside pitch. But we mentioned his numbers against the Blue Jays, and they have hit him hard. So you got to gain a little respect, push him back off the plate. Like I say, he didn't hit him. Cabrera at second. Down and away. Tazawa, Pat mentioned his numbers. This is the 17th appearance Tazawa has had. 15 and a third, 23 hits. Now 24 with Cabrera's single.
And you see he's given up 17 home runs in his career. 7 of them to the Blue Jays. Bautista's hit 1, and so has Edwin. He was on deck.
Edwin Encarnación, 2 home runs tonight. Home run cut on a 3-0 pitch. The 4 Dominican players, Reyes, Bautista, Encarnación, and Francisco, have out-homered 6 teams.
That's amazing. Just the 4 of them. Add up their home runs.
3-1 to Bautista. Blue Jays have hit 4 home runs. Melky, Encarnación a pair, and Eric Kratz.
You know it.
This is what has really impressed me with Bautista. When he gets 2 strikes and they pitch him away, he'll just take that ball the other way.
We saw that his last time up. Got 2 strikes from Edward Mujica and just served the ball the other way.
Jose, you nervous?
He beat the shift.
Bautista takes the walk. That's his 39th walk of the season. And Edwin Encarnación, his 3rd multi-home run game of the season.
And you put these together, it's a long, long list. Over the street with his first one and then a laser, that would have been the same thing if it wasn't that the sign wasn't in the way. That one would have reached Lansdowne Street also.
Home runs number 10 and 11 for Encarnación. First and second, nobody out. Lost the grip on that bat. He is so relaxed at the plate that oftentimes we've seen him sling that bat into the seats.
That time he swung, lost the grip on the bottom hand, but the top hand stayed right on top of it. The Blue Jays, they like that fastball all over.
With 11 home runs now, Encarnación has moved into the top 10 in the American League in home runs. He is tied with Brian Dozier of the Twins, Jose Bautista, Victor Martinez, and David Ortiz. Nelson Cruz and Albert Pujols have 12. Jose Abreu, who's currently on the disabled list of the White Sox, he has 15. He leads the pack.
Remember Saturday in Texas when he hit 2 balls hard to center field and they were both run down and caught, and you and I both said he's ready. He looks like he's ready to start driving the ball out of the ballpark, and wouldn't you know it, the next day he homered to deep left field in Texas, and then he has kept it going here tonight with a couple of home runs to left field.
Fouls this one back. Edwin had a 3 home run game May 21st, 2010 at Arizona. You see Casey Jansen warming up. If it stays a 3-run game, Jansen will come on to try to close it out. Blue Jays get any more than that, he'll sit back down and Rogers will come in. Down and away. Full count. Melky Cabrera with his 4th hit of the night. He's at second base. Bautista walked, his league-leading 39th walk. Encarnación has homered. Lawrie is on deck. Strike 3 call. Bautista or Encarnación caught looking. He didn't think it was a strike.
Neither do I. I thought that ball was outside, and he did the Red Sox a favor. Everyone upset. Chance for an RBI, and it looked like it was ball 4. Fastball. You see the catcher pull the ball back.
It wasn't a question of whether or not it was high enough. It looked to be outside. One down, Brett Lawrie. Drilled into the seats. Look out. Man, you got to pay attention down there. Junichi Tazawa came into the game to start the 9th. He gave up a single to Cabrera, walked Bautista, struck out Encarnación. Line to first base, and that'll be a double play. Not much Bautista could do about that. Lawrie lines into the inning-ending double play. We'll go to the bottom of the 9th. Casey Jansen on, looking for the save. Have a 7-4 lead as we head to the bottom of the 9th, and Steve Delabar, Jay Happ started the game. Jay Happ's in line for his 3rd win. Blue Jay bats have been incredible. 11 hits tonight, 8 of them extra base hits.
Yeah, that's been the story right now. Jay Happ had a great start to this one here. He's in line for the win, but it's the offense that got him out quickly. Home run bats, Edwin, outstanding. And now trying to finish it off is Casey Jansen.
It'll be a tough one. Top of the order. Dustin Pedroia, Shane Victorino, and David Ortiz. Pedroia struck out in the 6th. Dustin McGowan struck him out on a 3-2 slider. Casey Jansen looking for his 4th save in as many opportunities. For Jansen, this is his 5th appearance since coming off the disabled list. With a ball that's going to be off the green monster. Melky Cabrera plays it on a hop. Pedroia will stop it first. Nothing's easy at Fenway.
Never is, especially when you've got to go through the top of the lineup. Another high pitch on the inner half, and Pedroia swings hard. Makes contact, bangs it off the wall for a start here in the 9th.
Shane Victorino will step in against Jansen. Victorino is 0 for 8 against Casey Jansen. He is 0 for 4 tonight. The hits are even at 11. Bouncing ball up the middle. Reyes can't get it. Pedroia stops at second.
Yeah, it looked like Casey was thinking about maybe trying to grab that one, but then pulled back thinking that Reyes was going to be able to get to it. Right back through the middle curveball. You see him pull back and then realizes that ball's going to go up the middle. Reyes just out of his reach. And just like that, the tying run heads to the plate.
And none other than David Ortiz.
And what were we talking about earlier about one guy you don't want to have to beat you?
And here he is with a chance to tie it up. Ortiz against Jansen. 1 for 13. So now Kratz is going to go talk it over. Casey obviously has a successful plan against Ortiz. Now it's a matter of executing.
Yeah, so let's talk about it. Let's decide what we want to do here. I think either way you're going to have to keep the ball away from Ortiz.
The Red Sox have lost 4 straight for the first time since the end of the 2012 season.
Be careful now. Ortiz is looking for one pitch in one spot. He's going to try and tie it up with one swing.
Ortiz has an 11-game hit streak on the line. He's 0 for 3 with a walk. Bounced outside of first, foul. How many times have we been in games like this at Fenway Park where you get to the 9th inning and you think, okay, well, we got an easy game tonight. Nothing's easy here.
Like 95% of the games we play here. You know, these two teams over the last few years have been so evenly matched. You look at the numbers between these two teams, and they're almost identical. So it always seems to come down to the last few outs of a ball game.
High and deep, but appears to be foul, and it is. Plenty of distance.
It's not very deep down the right field line where that Pesky's pole is, so you can wrap one around there easily.
Since 2012, the Red Sox and the Blue Jays have split the 40 games. They have averaged 4.6 runs per game, each team. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Ortiz asks for time.
Casey's got to make a pitch here. He has a knack for backdooring a cutter down and away to the lefties.
There it is. Right on the money. Big strike at Ortiz, now 1 for 14 against Casey Jansen.
He had a good movement and threw a good pitch. Watch where this one is with movement. Surprises Ortiz, and he's heading back to the bench.
Ortiz 0 for 4. Hit streak at stake. Mike Napoli, he's gone 2 for 3 with a walk. Home run cut. Napoli hasn't hit a home run since April 22nd. Long drought. On the ground, Lawrie steps on the bag at third. Ball game. Casey Jansen with a big save in the toughest part of the Red Sox lineup, and the Blue Jays win 7-4.
He set it up. He gave up a couple of hits to start the inning and then had to go through the big power guys. No problem. Strikeout, double play. Melky Cabrera with a big game today. Jay Happ gets the win. Blue Jays offense coming to play tonight with 4 home runs.
Good start to the 3-game series. Drew Hutchison, Clay Buchholz,